So Matthias, what do we see here?
Well, we see here a very interesting example. It's very complex for the robot and the cameras to determine where the package is that which it needs to take up. An interesting thing around it, we do all the processing also on our conversion plant infrastructure, which means we have it very close to the system, and we can really enable the robot doing stuff which traditionally only, let's say, people could do, and we can then help really reduce the amount of work in the facilities, especially when it comes to heavy lifting, like with these topics.
Yeah. So, could you please elaborate a bit more about Virtual Fort Knox?
Well, the Virtual Fort Knox idea is basically using the same technology like we're using for the converged plant infrastructure, but we are enabling that with a marketplace on top of it, together with Fraunhofer. So that's a development we've done together with Fraunhofer, a very well-known, let's say, research organization in Germany, which did at the end MP3 standards, so that came from Fraunhofer as well. The idea around Virtual Fort Knox is that we allow them to have manufacturing execution systems or any given other application to brought into the system without really installing it in the traditional way. So we have a marketplace, and some manufacturer, when it comes to lot size reduction, can pick and choose the application he needs for a specific product. That means that the production will become way more flexible than before.
And what I understand, there is also the possibility that factories communicate with other factories.
Well, that's what we call horizontal integration, which is the idea behind Industry of the Future in the US, Industrie du Futur in France, or Industry 4.0 in Germany. And the idea behind that one is really to integrate and probably also to tender out some of the manufacturing requirements to a network, to an ecosystem of manufacturing plants. We see that already in the connected car space. That's probably a very easy example to think about, that if you're driving in your car, you get a lot of data for weather and so on right on your display. And that's exactly the idea for the manufacturing as well, that we're not using every single thing in our own fortress, that we're getting open and allow the collaboration through the converged plant infrastructure / Virtual Fort Knox to get out to different companies and really start to interacting with these companies. And we're starting already to use smart contracting based on blockchain technology to make that happen.
So, what would you say is the biggest issue about this?
Well, in terms of technology, I think we don't have any issues. The point is right now that a lot of customers, or let's say the customer organizations, are still split up between the operational technology side, which is stuff like that, and the IT side. And that's one of the challenges we're trying to solve, and I think we're perfectly positioned to bridge that gap between IT and OT, because we are a very well-known player on the IT side, on one hand side. On the other side, the OT guys are realizing that we are understanding their topics. So we understand what real time, especially in the robotics case, means for an operational technology guy. That's really knowing that something happens in a certain amount of time. If you talk to an IT guy, real time is more like I'm pressing something and something happens in an acceptable 50, 60, 70 milliseconds of time. And that's a totally different definition, and we are capable of bridging that gap and really talking to the business guys, to the manufacturing guys on one hand side, and to the IT guys on the other hand side. And we are not doing too much fancy paperwork around it. We really show, and you can see it here, we really show the proof, the evidence that works.